Hi everyone. We were very lucky to have been given some very large peony roots from our friend Lauren at thevintagemom.com, who bought a house with a huge peony garden in the back, and so she dug these up yesterday and gave them to us. And I think both of them could be divided, but this huge one, I think I'm going to try and really divide that into two. We don't know what colors they're going to be, so what I'm going to do, I think, is take half the big one and the smaller one and put them near each other, so hopefully they're different colors or whatever, and then the other piece I'm going to put somewhere else. So I'm going to take a stab at dividing these. So there we go. That was actually remarkably easy. It's a lot softer wood than I thought it was going to be. I just used this tool, which is a kind of gardening all-purpose knife, and I just used the serrated piece, but it was super easy to cut, so even a kitchen knife or something should be fine. So I'm going to show you where I'm going to plant these. This is the spot I prepared. We had a buddleia here that didn't survive the winter last winter, and it was very difficult to dig up. But now I've got a nice big clear space. It should get some good sun. It's in nice well-drained soil, fairly sandy already. So I'm going to dig 2 holes for these, and then I'll show you how to plant them. Part of the way done digging one of the holes, and as usual, very rocky, but it's going okay. It's fairly light, dry soil, so the 2 holes are now dug. The trick is to get them deep enough so you can mix in some good additions to the soil, and then end up with the peony roots being with their, I'll show you, their little buds for next year's growth, a couple of inches below the soil. You don't want them too deep or they won't flower well, and if they're too shallow they won't do well. So you have to dig it to the right depth, and mix in some compost and some good garden soil, and then we'll put them on top. So I'm going to go and get compost and the garden soil. Here is the garden soil and the composted cow manure that are going to go in a mixture in the holes for the peonies. I really want to make sure the soil's good, because the peony is going to be there for, could be a long time, could be decades, so got to give it something to eat. Okay. The mixture of cow manure, garden soil, and the regular soil is in the holes now. I took some out to leave some space for the roots. I've set the roots in there now to try to figure out how to accommodate them. This huge one over here with the really large piece needed an extra deep section to fit the root. And as I said, the idea is to get the buds of the next year's growth a couple of inches below the soil, but no deeper, or you'll end up without them flowering and maybe not even growing. Here the roots are partially buried with a good mixture of the soil and composted cow manure. And because my soil is so dry, we haven't had rain for a while, I'm actually going to get the hose and water these guys in while they're partially buried, just to really make sure I don't end up with any voids around the roots, and to get everything settled nicely before I fill them up the rest of the way. I watered these in because the soil around them is so dry. I just wanted to make sure I really give them a good soak before I even fill the holes. This way I can hopefully be sure that there's no voids underneath the roots and all the soil is nicely settled. Now I'm going to backfill these with some of the garden soil and a mixture of the regular soil. There they are, planted. You can just barely see the ends of this year's stems above the soil, and the new buds are about 2 inches down. They're all dug in, the whole area is clear. Now I'm going to give them a really good water. Now remember, if you do use mulch, you don't want to put mulch over the top of these, because then they'll be back down lower than 2 inches. So if you're going to use mulch, just leave a space around the peonies so they don't cause problems. Okay.